Nifika, do you remember in 2018, at this particular time in May 2018, what was going through your location of Vela Corner? What was going through your life in terms of elections and governance in Zimbabwe? Remember, it was May 2018.
Yes.
It was over 31 July, right?
Yeah.
What was going through?
Yes, at that time I was in Kulmane actually. Now I've moved to Mpopoma, of course. But, would see, I remember particularly ZANU-PF members and supporters, you'd see them in regalia, moving in groups. Even MDC supporters and members as well, they would move door to door. Some you'd see them coming from somewhere in trucks and all that. You'd see flyers all over of different political parties. And yeah, it was quite a vibe, really. Even though I didn't get to know my councillor or my MP, but I could tell that there were elections coming up. There were people who were moving around, and yeah, it was quite interesting, really. But today it's a different story, honestly. It's quiet then, Popoma. Even if I spend the whole day out of the area, I haven't got home and heard them saying, you know what, such a party was here. This is what they were saying. I haven't come across a flyer lying around. In 2018, we would actually complain about littering, to say there are too much flyers all over. But now it's just quiet. There is nothing, and
it doesn't show that with this year of voting. It doesn't show that even if you're walking on the streets, it doesn't show this year. In a few months' time, let me not use this year. In a few months' time, you have voted. It doesn't show. But where I come from, in Culture Park, it's a different story altogether. Because this professor, the Minister of Finance and Economic Development, is campaigning. There's aspiring MP for Culture Park. He's campaigning. There's busy. You can tell this year we're casting our votes in Culture Park. You can tell. I'm sure people are speaking about elections. People are speaking about those things because there's an aspiring MP who's busy on the ground. People are asking, "Mali vela ngapi, mali yake, mali government," or and so on. But there's a semblance of election mood in the country, right? Because someone is busy campaigning and promising people this and that. But I want to ask you guys this morning, where you're coming from, where you are. Can you sense the mood of elections? Last year around this time, what was happening in your area? And this time, what's happening in your area? So I want to hear from you this morning. Guys, please do request the mic. We want to hear from you. Mpopoma, Gwalanda, Cholocho, Ngapengap, wherever you are, please do request the mic. We want to hear from you. In terms of election mood, is there semblance of it? This year, we're going to cast our vote.
Yes, and I would like to hear from you as well. What's going on? What is causing the mood to be like this time in your area? Different reasons, of course, but would like to hear from you guys as well to say why is this? Why is it different this time? Why is it quiet? Because honestly, Brighton, we even used to have rallies. I remember even when I was quite younger, when I was in primary school, at times would be taken from school to go as much as Dramatorets or
But I'm
something.
asking myself, to say, now that we're going to vote in August, we're sure that this month of August we're going to vote, right? Now we're in May, almost half of May, June, July, 2 months.
Yeah.
Will it be enough for political parties to go to every corner of Zimbabwe campaigning? 10 provinces in Zimbabwe, will it 2 months be enough for them to go to every corner? Nimurombedzi there, in Chekutu, Marondera, in Binga, in Plum, will it be enough for those 2 months for them to go there and campaign and make sure at the amount of a vote I know their candidates? Will 2 months be enough?
Brighton, I think it won't be enough, and especially with this delimitation that has been done. Some constituencies are now even bigger. Just one constituency for an MP, even for some councillors, I think it's just the time is just too little.
But also for me, I'm asking myself, I'm a journalist, I read a lot, blah, 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 I know everything sometimes. But also for me, it's been confusing me in terms of Culture Park. There are now 3 wards within Culture Park, and they're going to have 3 councillors in Culture Park. But I don't know the boundaries where you can go to. And I think I'm not the only one. I think the entire residents don't know what the boundary is. I think it's confusing to many people. There's a need for more time to fully explain to our guys, this boundary suka lapha isiyaphela lapha uzawulo cancel lapha what one. For now, as it was. But in 2 months' time, we're jumping to the elections. Will you be ready? Will you go to the proper polling station as you go and cast our vote? For me, those things are like, okay, how will you know these things? Will the political parties be explaining these things to us? Will ZEC be coming through to explain these things to us? So I want to know from you guys this morning, where you're coming from. Are people geared up for the elections?
Yeah, and I see we also have politicians here. Would like to hear from you guys to say, as politicians, as you are campaigning, probably you are campaigning in your areas there. What is the election mood? How is it in your areas as well? Uh, do you have enough time really to campaign? I see we also have a comment there. Griffiths is saying people are tired of election rigging by ZANU PF since 1980. No electoral reforms. Nothing will change. It would take a miracle to remove ZANU. My election mood died in 2008 after voting for Twangirai. He failed to make his way to the State House.
Right, those are the things again I'm thinking of. What now? I convinced a lot of Dala, the 40s, the 50s. Like, I was speaking to some Gogo in Central Life. Said, no, to cast my vote. But I'm asking myself, Gogo, why am I to cast your vote? Like, no, we have been doing this over and over and over and over. And I'm asking myself, will that not derail or cause more apathy when we hear about ourselves for die to say, guys, no, I'm not we cannot, but nothing has changed. Also, what we're seeing now in terms of economics, not like would you go to the shops? I went to one of the shops, they were saying to me strictly US dollar, right? You go to buy fuel strictly US dollar, but they're not accepting local currency. I'm asking myself, will this not fuel more apathy? Will this not cause more apathy? To them, two of us, 1,000 pounds come from inside to town. So again, asking those things, will this not fuel more apart? Why are we tired as a country in terms of elections? There's no mood to this year I go casting our vote.
But then again, Brighton, funny enough, you'd believe that all those situations that you spoke about are supposed to be push factors actually to say, you know what, I'm tired of this. I'm going to vote for who is going to deliver these services that I need.
Let's take one of our speakers this morning. I see Njabula just joined us this morning. Then Njabula, good morning. Welcome to This Morning Asake.
Good morning, Brighton and Mnangagwa. I'm hoping you guys are okay. This fine morning, and good morning to all the listeners and the speakers that are here. Um, Thank you so much for raising the topic and also allowing us to come through and discuss these very important issues that are affecting Zimbabweans on a day-to-day basis. I see, Brighton, you are back to your what is this? Your renting season. I'm seeing you're going back to rent about Chova. Yesterday also you're raising the same and the days before. So I see you're back again. But anyway, which is fine, which is very normal in actual fact in Zimbabwe, because if we don't find ourselves in a space where we can just share on things that are really troubling us as Zimbabweans, so that we can make the way forward for ourselves as a people. Because the these dialogues are enriching and they are very purposeful. They begin to inform us on the direction and on the actions that we should take as a people. So it's very much, and I feel they are very important for us as a people to always have, because a lot of us, especially those that grew up in Zimbabwe, we all know that, speaking freely about politics and stuff like that, it was a taboo when we were growing up. I remember one day, I was playing outside and then we were speaking with my husband, no, Zanu PF this. And my husband called me from outside. Hey, Jabu, can you come? Yinde Kuruma, just keep quiet. How peace? That's what she said to me. And I was very young. I thought it was a norm for us, and we grew up in that bondage to say, you know what, we don't really talk about politics in Zimbabwe, because you'll never know. Kala unomkabe, we are afraid that if you speak freely on politics, you might speak to the wrong person. Yabe CIO, and even in your house, they'll tell you, no, don't speak. You don't know who is the CIO in this house. You might be taken and never come back. So but well, thank you guys for creating a platform for people to express themselves. Getting back to the topic, I think Zimbabwean locals and he has always been in the mood. It's just that people on the ground, they are not free to express themselves when it comes to elections and stuff like that. They are not free. Either you support whichever political party. I've seen in Zimbabwe, people are not free, but they are in the mood, because one of the things that have set people in the mood for election it is the failure of the government that has failed to deliver on its promises. You see, 2018 people were really, when you look at 2017 when the coup happened and 2018 elections happened, people were in the mood for elections, and those that supported the current president um, we're anticipating change to say, you know what, Mnangagwa is here, he's giving us promises, things are going to happen, we are re-engaging, we will free school fees, electricity, everything was well set and well oiled according to the promises. But as people saw the promises not being fulfilled, they went back to the election mood, including the opposition, say, no, you know what, we don't want this guy. So there has been an anti-campaign against the current government because of its failure in the background. This is why you had the opposition continuously going out and challenging the current government on every corner because the current government has failed on its promises. And you listen to the people even that are in the diaspora. I think now we've been from lockdown, some of us on Twitter, we've been speaking politics from 2020 on a daily basis on these spaces, on Facebook, wherever. We've been on that election mood because we have realized the failure of the government and its failure to deliver on its promises. Then, to say the least, one of the things that the Zimbabwean locals and electorate has failed to do. You know, I've heard a lot of people saying, you know what, we need to move away from the spirit of always being in a election mood. I will tell you something. Some of you that don't even know, if ever we're going to compare Zimbabwe with other countries, I'm here in SA. There is always a campaign. You guys are talking of 2024 elections. Already in South Africa, DA is setting up tents. Action SA is setting up tents. EFF is always campaigning on a daily basis. There are no elections in South Africa currently. Elections are going to be there next year. But come to South Africa, I will tell you, you won't pass a day without seeing a tent, a DA, EFF. You won't pass a day without seeing media logos and being streaming about EFF, about you won't pass a day. It's impossible. So I think we need to be in that mood as a nation on a daily basis to constantly conscientize the current government that if you fail to deliver on your promises, there are people that are already warming up to take over at any given time. This is the mood currently in South Africa. And some of you that don't even know, go look at USA. When did Trump start campaigning for his presidential bid? He started when he lost the election. He started campaigning from there. And we need that culture to come into Zimbabwe so that people are free to express themselves. And the current government will be on its knees, on its toes, knowing that, you know what, we cannot sit in and relax because someone is already coming up on the timeline to take over at any given time. We need to do our best as possible as we can because we could be replaced at any given time. So thank you so much, Nonsansa and Brighton, for giving me the chance to share my thoughts on this subject.
Thank you so much, Njabulo, for that contribution. Quite interesting. And thank you also for sharing what's happening in South Africa.
But also to compare what's happening in South Africa, I was listening to Ramaphosa was saying, Ramaphosa was addressing a rally at some point, was saying to the members of the ANC, we are now ready for elections. Mm-hmm. Go to every corner, go to every branch and tell them that next year you are voting for this particular party, you are ready for elections. And I'm asking myself in Zimbabwe here, the issue of the opposition party having not released their list of candidates who are contesting. Is 2 months enough for the voters to really know these candidates? ZAPU hasn't released their candidates as well. MRP has not released their candidates as well. Mm-hmm. Every other party, UNZA, you name it, for us, I see Tanzania is here, they haven't released their list of candidates. Mm-hmm. Only ZANU-PF has gone to the primaries, and we know now what so and so is going to be contesting in this particular constituency. Mm-hmm. Won't that even affect the oppositions in terms of us knowing their candidates? Mm-hmm. Because it's now 2 months before we go to the elections. August of voting, but there's nothing that we can say this one is contested from the opposition. So those things are going to affect the elections. I see you've just joined by I think Tanzania was the next one speaker. Tanzania, please do go ahead with the contribution this morning.
Thank you very much, Brother Brighton, and a very good morning to everyone in the platform. This topic is very interesting, and I'll start by agreeing with my brother Unjabulo to say that Zimbabweans are always in an election mood. However, the space in Zimbabwe is very, very closed for you to start expressing yourself as someone who is in an election mood. For example, right now we are 2 months to an election, but the president himself has not actually told us the date for elections. Therefore, for any opposition party to hold a rally in Zimbabwe, it becomes very, very difficult, if not impossible. So we might blame political players for not holding rallies, for not moving around with banners and etc. But basically I think that's a protective mode to make sure that in as much as we are ready for elections, we cannot sacrifice our members to be arrested because the campaign period is not yet announced by the president. Because we might wish to be on the ground, we might wish to hold countless rallies all over the country, but ZANU-PF and the police and everyone else who is in charge, they are going to make sure that they stop those rallies. However, on the issues of the list of candidates, I think many political parties are actually, for the security reasons of their members, they have not released. But I believe that each and every political party right now is prepared with their candidate intact, with their people intact on the ground. For example, in Forest, we have actually announced the list of our candidates, but those who are announced are holding higher positions in the party. For example, in the national and the provincial executive, all the members of the national executive who are contesting, they are actually known by the public. They are actually, are being announced by our information and publicity department. If you go to our Twitter handle, you will see that in few days we actually posted people like Deputy President Ozas Ncube as a candidate for Cholocho South constituency, our national spokesperson Sandazani as a candidate for Kokwekana constituency, and we have actually our national chairperson as a candidate for Mondoro Mbaira constituency, if I'm not mistaken. So we do have our people actually as candidates. However, we are not actually releasing those who are in the wards, those who are in the constituencies for their security reasons, but they have been selected, and we are left with a few provinces where we are still doing the candidate selections, but we are actually ready to contest if the elections are to be called today. However, on the issue of a 2 months period, I believe Uguti his strategy says ZANU-PF to make sure, because ZANU-PF is a well-resourced party, they can put their resources within a week and confuse everyone and basically end up getting votes. So ZANU-PF is making sure that no one is reaching out to the people at the moment until there is a short period of time, and in that short period of time they are going to make it very, very difficult for opposition parties, for genuine opposition political players to actually get a slot to have a rally at Watershed Stadium, at Papa Fields Stadium, or at Rufaro and National Sports Stadium, or at Ascot. So it becomes very difficult for you to campaign, because you've got 30 days or you've got 60 days, and the ZANU-PF is blocking you as well to access the rallies. And in as much as you are trying to fight this in police and etc., trying to do appeals, my days are kufamba, malanga ayahamba, and the ZANU-PF will be moving all over the country. Right now, if you come to Gokwe, Mnangagwa is campaigning, no one is stopping him. But if you try to campaign in your own constituents, wherever you are as an opposition player, ZANU-PF and the police, they are going to make sure that you are stopped and you are possibly arrested. So we are operating in a very difficult environment. We need to also put measures that are also securing our members. In as much as we are doing politics, we should not be sacrificing the members of the party because we want to win. So we need to make sure that we have got strategies, and those strategies are going to match the strategy of ZANU-PF one-on-one, making sure that whenever they say the campaign is open, we've got enough team to move on door-to-door campaign, because we know very well that the rallies are going to be very, very difficult, because knowing fully well that Mnangagwa, when it comes to facts, actually, addressing people and conscientizing the society, telling them whatever he's offering on the ground, he doesn't, because he said a lot in 2018 and he delivered none. money. So now it becomes very, very difficult for him to tell us that he's going to jekesa nyika again, knowing fully well that hana kujekesa nyika. So he doesn't need rallies anymore, because once he has rallies, he has nothing to say. But the opposition political parties, they've got a lot to say. You know, taking from the ZANU-PF failures, they can actually create a very powerful speech that is going to demonize and de-campaign ZANU-PF, which is not needed at the moment for ZANU-PF, because that will be dangerous for their victory.